Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave Sports and Entertainment original presented by Prize Picks. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It is that time of week where we have somebody join us, and I love this. Rashawn says, "Hey, Mina, how's the baby doing? Or is everything good with the baby?" And your immediate response is, "No." And for a moment, I'm a little terrified that something's going on with my little homie Nino. But then it goes a little farther, and I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. He's actually just being a child. That's all.
He's fine. I'm not fine. He is 6.5 months. And whenever people have asked me how he's doing over the last 3 months, really, I've been like, oh, it's amazing. He's sleeping 7 to 7. He's crushing. I didn't want to seem overconfident, but I was being honest. Like, he was sleeping really well. And parents would always give me this look like, wait till the regression hits. I was like, the regression. Well, the regression hit, Bo. And we are going on 4 nights of him waking up in the middle of the night, terrorizing us. I was just telling you right before we started, I actually stabbed myself with a knife trying to open a thing of Orajel, which is what you put on their gums if they're teething, at like 5 a.m. this morning. So yeah, I am kind of in shambles at the moment.
You know, I got this thing about how, like, I mean, not my thing. It's not just me. Everybody sees this. How, Instagram, people can be a tad misrepresentative about what their lives are and what their relationships are, right? Like, everybody looks super duper happy. And it's like, oh, they're so cute, whatever it is. They're so cute together. You go through all of this. And it hadn't really dawned on me until a couple of years ago. A friend of mine was talking about his relationship with one of his kids. And, everybody's friends with their kids now, and everybody thinks their kids is so cool, and they put all them pictures up. But I was like, there's no way you like these people this much. I know how teenagers work. And he told me a story about having to choke them out. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, okay, that's the content I'm looking for. And I just realized that about babies. I follow you. I'm in the green circle. I see the little homie crawling and doing amazing things. And y'all seem so happy. Y'all don't tell us about this other stuff, though. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't tell us about when the little homie out here screaming up a storm.
Yeah. He has this new thing. He developed like hand dexterity, and he just grabs my face like with just crushing force now. I guess I should post that. Can I ask you a question? Do you like seeing content about other people's kids, or do you find it boring? And just be 100% honest with me. I won't take it personally. You are in the green circle. No. You are getting the exposure.
Oh, no. I get excited when I see the green circle on yours.
Okay.
Right? I think it is very much dependent on my relationship with the people and with the kids. But I love kids, right? So like a friend of mine, she worked as a producer on High Noon, and I check in with her every now and then. And it always gets to a point where my next thing is, you know what we here for. Let me see the baby. And then we get pictures of the baby, right? Like that is, that's my lane. But I got to admit, some of these other people need to realize, I don't know if it's because they not that good at photography, or maybe they just ain't got that much to work with, right? But some people's pictures of their kids is kind of duds.
See, I really appreciate that because I feel like my baby is cute, but I don't, I'm obviously biased. I like pictures. This is kind of problematic. I don't like stories. Like, I don't like hearing stories. I realized I just told one. That was more of a story about me stabbing myself.
Yes.
I would say I find 90% of people's stories about their kids are boring to me. Like, oh man, you wouldn't believe what happened. Like, Joey came home and he told this thing about the teacher, and this happened in school. And I'm just like, this is not a good story. Like, this is not entertaining. I don't know. It's just how I feel.
I do think people often have a poor grasp on like just how entertaining their kids are. Like, every story my mother has ever told about my brother when he was a baby, they're all a riot. Like, apparently he just had a knack for doing and saying things that were memorable and very kid-like and went down the road, right? I remember once somebody I knew had put some long audio file on the internet of some back and forth that person was having with her daughter. And there was nothing cute about this. There was nothing interesting. The kid didn't say anything clever, right? Like there was nothing that was just like, oh, you know how kids are. It was just like, I don't even think the little motherfucker can talk. Like, why are we here? And I just like, I don't know why you think anybody else wanted to know about this.
Yeah. Yeah, kids are like the
But that's how I feel about
original
people's stories
podcasters.
about everything. Yeah, but to be fair, that's how I feel about people's stories about everything, right? Like the new bag that I see, the people who go, like, don't get me started on all these people, these teachers, this is what I wore to teach. And like, the reason people watch this is not going to be because you a teacher. You know what I'm saying? Let's get some self-awareness about ourselves. But this is how my day goes. This is me doing the meal prep. This is all this. And I'm just, maybe it's because we work in the business of making content, but y'all stink. You stink at this. I need everybody to know that you stink.
I think it's because of the way platforms work now, where you can go viral with a story or a quick cut video or whatever, and it's kind of disentangled from the entertainment value of the content. It's really just like, are you riding the wave of this algorithm? As a result, everybody's like, why not be a volume shooter? I might hit.
Yes.
Like, I really think that's what's happening.
Well, there's also nothing to lose, right? Like, one of the funniest things that I saw somebody say about J. Cole was that if they were in the crowd, they would have threw a tomato at him. I kind of like, I kind of wish it would be kind of cool if we went back to a day and time where people actually, did anybody ever actually throw tomatoes, or is that just a trope? Because to leave your house with a tomato is some real pessimistic shit, right? Why do you have that? Just in case somebody's terrible. Like, why are you planning around this? Why do you have this tomato? I don't think they were putting tomatoes in every chair. But the thing about the internet is, one, saying something funny is an intoxicating feeling. Like, making the room laugh is a great feeling. Trying to make the room laugh and they don't laugh. I hear women often say, I don't understand what it's like to get kicked in the nuts. Start there, right? Like that's where you can start getting to the core of it's off. Like when it happens to me, I start talking fast and moving on to something else. I did a TV show with a room of writers, and every now and then, not anybody would laugh, and I would be terrified. I didn't know what to do. The internet lets you do these things, and if nobody laughs or when nobody laughs, it's not like anybody's actually not laughing. Like, people who are impervious to the fact that nobody's laughing at their jokes are the fucking worst, because clearly their jokes aren't good. Nobody's laughing. And then they just keep telling them. And that's what I think the internet does. You put this video of yourself and people be lying. Yes, slay, all these things. And then they just keep doing this shit more and more. And then next thing you know, it's just like, yo, you ain't no fashionista. You ain't none of these things. Why do you think somebody want to know how you got dressed this morning, bruh?
Yeah, I have had some stinkers on the internet. I'm not gonna lie. Some jokes, some bad, some ones that don't land, some ones that are just kind of cringe. But because there's not that feel, like you don't see the room, you just kind of keep it moving. It doesn't. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's the big takeaway here about people who tell stories about their kids and people like just the abundance of storytelling right now is that there's just no shame anymore, because what does even shame look like? I guess it would be being quote tweeted into oblivion, but like for it doesn't matter.
It's got to go past being bad, right? It has to take some turn, and that's what we need to bring back. I guess we'll talk about football and stuff in a second, but I'm gonna break something out. I think you're a great audience for this. Me and my man were talking about this, right?
Okay.
We need to go back, and I feel like there's a lot of people, like, you remember, what was it, Bud Light's Real Men of Genius ad campaign, one of the greatest ad campaigns of all time. Yeah. If you're not up on it, youngsters, Google it up on the YouTubes. They're all really funny. We need to go back and find the first person to ever boo. Because I want you to think about this. There is no sound that matches the emotion, like maps directly into the emotion that you wish to convey, quite like booing. It doesn't mean anything else. Like, people start screaming, they could be happy, they could be mad, it could be anything else. But who was the first person to be out somewhere and they paid their hard-earned money and they saw something? Maybe it was a gladiator fight, maybe they was at the bull ring, whatever it is, and everybody was just sitting there and they were like, damn, I don't even know how it is that we feel. And he was just like, boo! And everybody was like, that's it right there. Did they workshop other sounds before they got there, or just stumble upon it and somebody's like, hey, do that again, like people in the studio, and they just land on a riff, like, hey, keep playing that. Yes.
Have you ever booed, Bo? Be honest.
Have I booed?
Yeah, have you ever booed?
Hell, I went to a HBCU. Have I ever booed? One time, it's the first thing I ever went to in college. It was a comedy show. And they said, our first comedian is a student at Clark Atlanta Boo! We hit the boos immediately. He came out and stood on a chair and booed us back.
When was the last time you remember booing?
The last time I remember booing somebody, it's tricky because I didn't boo Kid Cudi at the Outcast shows where he didn't think we were being nice enough to him and he bailed because I just thought he might cry. He deserved to get booed. I do remember in 2004, Kanye, when I would do things like go to Kanye shows, Kanye played Duke's Last Day of Class concert, and we went up there for that. And his opening act, who was not the person that we came to see, was up there playing the piano.
Who was it?
And my friends were saying, play something these hoes gonna like over and over again. It did not feel that he had. And then we all started booing just because we felt like it. And that gentleman turned out to be John Legend. The audacity of us, okay? We didn't come to see John Legend. We also didn't pay a dime for any of this. I also didn't even go to this school. But we were there and we were booing this man who at some point we did stop and say to ourselves, yo, man, he's kind of good. But we just booed him because we didn't have anything else to do at the time.
Clinton Yates recently brought it to my attention that I got a lot of backlash. We had a radio show like 5, 6, 7 years ago at this point. I got some backlash for saying John Legend has no bangers, which did not go over well. He has shooters out there. John Legend has shooters, I learned.
Okay. I'm going to say this for the podcast, right? You hear me, Seb? Just making sure you understand what's going on here. Bangers is an interesting term, right? You can have very, very good songs.
Thank you.
But
Thank you. I was being specific. Thank you.
Is a different animal. And John Legend is not in the banger business.
Right.
Like, Ordinary People is not a banger.
He has great songs for walking into CVS at 3 a.m. That is he cannot be denied. It cannot be denied.
That's the next. You didn't have to go that far. Hey, I will say this: the second half of his first album really goes. Like the So High joint, Let's Get Lifted, like all of those. They So High is a really, really, really good song. A really, really good song. Wow, the CVS stroll. Let me tell you, there's so much money in making music for walking through a CVS. There is not a single musician there you say that about him that's like, hell yeah, that's what I was going for. You just kind of wind up there. Or if you do end up there, it's a decision that you agonized over.
It's a specific kind of very adult-friendly music that offends no one. This clip will absolutely come back to haunt me if I ever have to work with John Legend.
No, I got your back. No, I got your back here. Me and John, we internet cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not saying he like post-Commodore's Lionel Richie. Like, that's the I'm trying to help you out here right now. Can I tell you this Lionel Richie story right fast? You ever hear about the time Lionel Richie was posted up with his white mistress and his wife showed up?
No.
Yeah. So, at a time where such a thing would be incredibly polarized, and where it was, Lionel Richie was just posted up with his new girl, and his wife found out and ran up on them, I think is probably the best way to put it. It was, I'm pretty sure we could go find the Jet magazine somewhere where I'm sure they had quite the expose. They gave us all the data that we needed about this. But I went to college with a dude, and those of you who go back with me know the story about this dude. He's the dude that borrowed $200 from me and then didn't give it back to me. And then 10 years later, I asked him about the money, and he told me that in the time since I had spoken to him, he had given his life to Christ. And I asked him if he had also given Christ my $200. Anyway, his dad was a really big Lionel Richie fan until Lionel Richie was posted up with his white mistress, and his wife busted in, and he said he never heard another note of Lionel Richie's music in their house ever again. Lionel Richie was dead to them after that point.
Wow. Is it because of? Well, I guess I have a lot of questions about where this man decided to draw the line.
Well, I think I honestly I don't. It didn't matter who he was laid up with. I think getting run up on by his queen was probably going to be the deciding factor
Yeah.
in this. But like, oh, that had to be really embarrassing in 1989 or 1990 or whatever
Yeah.
year it was that it happened. Like that's a real tough one to explain. Did you know that Lionel Richie owns a bunch of the land that Rodeo Drive is on? Lionel Richie is so rich, it is like he is now really Richie. He is Lionel Richie rich in here.
Yeah, good for him. I had no idea. I feel like part of that, if your whole brand is like being a lover boy and being a wife guy, maybe more so than a lover boy,
Yeah.
that's probably what, like, you can kind of like, if John Legend, if something like this, I gotta stop slandering John Legend. This is really not going to go well for me. But I'm just saying, if something came out about John Legend, I feel like there would be a sect of his fan base who would be like really put off
Be very
because his
disappointed.
whole brand is being a wife guy.
Yes, like some people can overcome it, right?
Yeah.
Do you know the story about Teddy Pendergrass and the car accident?
No, I don't.
Do you have a laptop in front of you?
No.
No. Do you have a laptop in
Yeah,
front of you?
I got a
Okay,
laptop
I just need.
in front of
I just need you to Google it because there's some technical specifications that I might mess up on, and so I don't want to get it wrong. But Teddy Pendergrass was in a car accident and he was paralyzed, and there was lots of questions about who was in the car with him, and then everybody found out, and one would think that would that's what
okay.
happened. Now
Hugh Grant
you would
vibes.
think you would think, oh, no. Hugh Grant was of a different variety of situation.
Okay.
Yeah, if somebody will tell you, it might.
I'm
need to
going
be in
deeper
chat.
into this. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Keep
this is
going.
the Patreon podcast we talked about. We can get into it.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. So after this happens with Teddy Pendergrass, one would think that the mystique of Teddy Pendergrass perhaps would have been shattered for a lot of people. I was at a restaurant the other day, and the restaurant was playing R&B videos from the late 80s and early 90s, and apparently Teddy still had it because this video had a quadriplegic Teddy Pendergrass in a wheelchair and girls in there dancing for Teddy. They was still turning off the lights for Teddy. I couldn't even tell what song Teddy was singing. Teddy was just wearing some sweater and some jeans. He wasn't even fly for him. They was still trying to get Teddy on him. Ain't nobody ever had the glow, the juice, whatever it is, like Teddy Pendergrass, because he was sitting in a wheelchair and the director was conceivably like, and then the girls are gonna throw it at him.
Oh my god!
And
I'm
people
looking at this
believed
right
it.
now. I mean,
Yes.
that voice though.
Yeah. Teddy,
that's
if you
top 5. Just
there is a Showtime documentary about Teddy that you absolutely have to check out. And look, you can call this voice beautiful. I don't. Teddy Pendergrass's
gonna
voice
ruin it for
perhaps
me.
is beautiful to people, but it brings out a different, like, ain't nothing ornamental about Teddy Pendergrass. Teddy Pendergrass is ready. Like, ain't nobody had it like Teddy did ever. Like, you can't even hate on it. Like, you can hate on like a Drake or a LL Cool J. Teddy Pendergrass, you just like, damn, go ahead, Playboy, go ahead. Teddy Pendergrass having shows that only women could come to. Can you imagine your girl tell you we going to the ladies only Teddy Pendergrass show?
ladies only.
Yes.
I feel like this is like, I mean, I'm not comparing them as artists, but I think like it's similar to like Usher, where like nobody really like his brand was never being a wife guy. It was being a guy who sang about love and sex and those types of things.
Correct.
So like whatever he did, whatever story, and there's been so many stories about him, nothing really seems to stick or affect his
Correct.
image or his audience because he's not John Legend. He's Usher.
Yes.
It's kind of similar.
That's a great point. It's kind of what happened to Teddy I said Teddy Pendergrass when I met Tiger Woods, as though those two guys have anything in common. Tiger Woods has sold us husband for so long, and then, you know, his queen may or may not have run up on him in the driveway with a golf club. That was, you realize that's 15
He pivoted to dad
years?
guy, though. He pivoted from wife guy to dad guy.
Yeah, he did go to single dad guy. I love imagining Tiger Woods with a box of Eggo waffles in his hand, trying to make it happen.
Even like the Tiger Woods Santa image, the infamous.
Yes.
Like that didn't even, because by then his image was single dad guy, it kind of weirdly fit with it, I feel like.
Yes.
I don't know. Is he compete? He's not. This is how little I know about golf. Is he in the mix right now for the? He is competing.
He's competing. I don't know if he's in the mix per se.
Yeah.
But he is competing in the Masters, and I guess it is Masters week. I hate how much I enjoy the Masters. I hate it. I can't stand how much I enjoy the Masters. I feel like such a letdown to all the revolutionaries that tried to make me into the man that I ultimately became. But I watched the Masters. HD did a number for the Masters too. Like once the Masters went in HD, I was talking about this yesterday with some people. Do you remember the first time you saw HD?
Not really. I just feel like
wow! I feel like that was one of the clearest moments of my life. Like it's like, yo, what's going on here? This is high definition television. I got to get me one of these. I spent money I didn't have to get an HD TV because I couldn't go back.
When was this? When did the switch really happen? I'm trying to remember.
Like 05, 06, like right around there.
Because I vividly remember when the NFL broadcast started incorporating 8K or 4K or whatever they use now, those special cameras where all of a sudden the sideline, it's like, not even like a cool player. It's like Tyler Boyd or someone catching a touchdown. You're like, that's the best thing I've ever seen in my life because of the visuals. But I don't remember HD change. I guess maybe because I was kind of broke at the time and didn't have a TV. So maybe I missed out on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess, you were in college.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing. Like when this happens, you were in college. I was just old enough to be aware that I couldn't afford things, but also able to get them anyway. Just enough plastic debt in my pocket, just enough to go make that thing happen. I went to my brother's house. He had HD, and I was like, shit. Now I got to get this. Sean in the chat room talking about who's everybody rooting for in the Masters this year. Sean asked that like there was an awkward silence at a date and somebody just had to throw something out there. So you watching the Masters this weekend?
Sean's a golf guy. And I feel like Sean, I'm not trying to blow you up, but I feel like you kind of have aspirations of being a golf influencer.
Yes, that's very true, Mina. Thank you. I hope if any brands are watching this, please hit me up.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
But a look at me moment. Sean rarely does that on the interview. Sean had to pop in, right? Sean's talking gibberish in the chat room just because he needs some attention. Then he jumps in the middle of the show just because he wants somebody to look at him.
He wants like the kind of boutique golf brands that are featured in GQ to send him free shit. It's just. I know Sean. I know that's exactly what he's thinking. Yeah. He would love for us to talk about golf, but I got nothing for you, man. I got nothing.
I tell you this though, if we could figure out how to get him to send us some J's. Like I got some 13 golf shoes. My brother's got like some 3. My brother got all the golf shoes. That's the J's. If we could figure out how to do that, let me tell you this right fast. I've just random stories. You could clearly tell I had no plan for this show. I was doing the eclipse on the roof with my brother and his wife and some of their friends, and we came across some dude. I had never met him before, and this woman was complimenting him on his shoes, and she was like, yeah, I'm just getting into sneakers, and these are really nice, and I looked down on them, and they were J's. But, like, when I say they were J's, I mean they belonged to somebody named Jay. They were Jay apostrophe S, because them wasn't no Air Jordans. I tell you that right now. They was like the Bruce Lee of Jordans. I looked down, they had a little bit of 13 in them. They had a little bit of 5 in them. Like they were not. And he's sitting there like, oh, thank you. And me and my brother are both. We didn't even look at each other. We had to reconvene later. But as this is happening, me and my brother are both like, you front motherfucker, man. You know those shoes are J's. Give them back to Jay. Go give them back to Jay. Or maybe your name is Jay and they're yours, but you know those ain't no J's.
Have you ever seen, did anyone, you didn't say anything, obviously.
No, I didn't.
That's the sartorial equivalent of telling someone they got food in their teeth. Like, you can't do it. Or maybe you got to do it if you're a friend. You got to do it. You know what that reminds me of? Have you seen the movie Game Night? Or have you seen that clip from it?
I have not.
Where it's a couple. I don't know who the female actress is. The man is, I think his name's Lamar Morris. He played Winston in New Girl. He's been in a bunch of stuff. And his longtime girlfriend has a story where she tells everyone that she had sex with Denzel Washington, and her whole life she's thought it was Denzel, and finally someone tells her it was just a guy who looked like Denzel. It's anyways very very.
Well,
funny
God,
movie, very funny
I
clip.
need to find that,
Yeah,
because the
I think
best
you would
part
like
of
this,
that is that guy assuredly looked nothing like Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
When I worked at Page 2, they used to have a feature called "Here's Looking at You," and they would pair up like people who look like athletes or people related to sports. That is the first time that I had confirmation. I think I had realized it myself that Henry Bibby, Mike Bibby's daddy, formerly head coach of USC, was Dr. Evil. They were the same person. They even wore the same suits. But clearly they had a bunch of white dudes making these decisions, because I remember they had a run of people they said looked like Denzel Washington. And I'm like, I promise you, these women would have told me they looked like Denzel. He looked like Denzel Washington if he actually did. Like it would be amazing to me, like in this case where you're like, oh, she's like, oh, that was Denzel Washington. And it turned out it was like Dr. Dre.
Am I wrong in thinking All-Star Weekend Los Angeles 2000, what was that, 15?
18.
Obviously pre-18, you were confused with an NBA player and maybe got into certain places because of that? Am I misremembering this?
I don't think that was me.
I remember we were walking around going play. We were like going to parties and such. And I feel like somebody thought you were an NBA player. Maybe I'm misremembering this.
No, that may have happened. I remember that because that was the one where I was with Pablo and we were hanging out with Donald Glover and his people. And I definitely got a little too right. Yeah. And we caught up with him after the show, and him and Pablo was over there talking about Star Wars and shit. And I went and sat down on the couch and kind of fell asleep. And Pablo had the nerve to be embarrassed. And I'm like, you motherfuckers is talking about Star Wars, man.
Star Wars, yeah. That was right before he really...
Yes. Yes, this was after the Awaken My Love album came out, but before like Atlanta jumped off. And it was, I don't think I could get that close to Donald Glover again.
Yeah. You actually, speaking of Donald Glover and lookalikes, people keep telling me I look like the girl in his new show. Have you checked out the new show, Mr. and Mrs. Smith? Google it right now. I don't think I look like this woman. In fact, maybe a little racist. I don't know. Just saying. She's half Asian.
What's her name, Sean? Maya. All right, let's get a look here.
I just don't see it.
Nah. There's definitely there's a little schism at place in this one. I don't see this at all. Y'all just look like y'all's mamas might be from the same place.
Bingo. Exactly. Is there any look like you've gotten that you are flattered by? Where you actually like hearing it?
I don't know if I've gotten a flattered by. I definitely can tell you the one that I was unable to deny, and that was Keith Boykin. I was like, yep. I took a picture with Keith Boykin at the NABJ convention one time, and I was just like, yeah, man, I ain't really got a lot of room to argue with this one.
Yeah. It's funny because it really is like the NFL draft, because everybody's been asking me for comps, and there's a little bit of parallel here in that you got to be careful, because you don't want to be making comps just based on stereotypes. And Maury is the one, right, who originally talked about like the cross-racial comps. So, but then it gets to the point where you're kind of like reaching for cross-racial comps. I had this dude Mike Renner on my podcast, and we were talking about Ladd McConkey out of Georgia. And he was, and he, to his credit, he caveated this a lot, but he was like, kind of moves like Antonio Brown. And I was like,
let me tell you who's got the biggest problem with that. Ladd McConkey Sr. He's the one that's like, hey, what's that supposed to mean? I went to graduate school with a Mexican dude who looked just like Roger Clemens. Sean, let's sell some stuff and we'll be right back. The NBA playoffs are right around the corner. Get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with basketball, hockey, and baseball entries today on Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. And if you stick around for the end of the show, you'll hear picks from our producer, Sean, that could potentially help you win big. Prize Picks is really simple to play. You can make your picks and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So make sure you go to prizepicks.com/Bomani and use code Bomani for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/Bomani. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Spring is here, so get ready for the sunshine with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays offers a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have plenty of styles and colors to pick from, so finding your next pair of shades is a breeze. Plus, if your shades go MIA or take a hit, don't sweat it. They've got lost and broken protection, so you're covered from day one. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence, because they have your back long after you purchase. If you don't love your shades, exchange or return them free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code Bomani for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized glasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Somewhere, Sean Payton just sent this to the group chat. Not my problem anymore.
This is what I'm thinking as you say that, though. And guys, Mina just told me that Russell Wilson, things I didn't expect, Mina telling me who's on the cover of Essence, but it's Russell Wilson, and he out here with some kind of animal on and an undershirt and some chains, and they sexiest man in the moment. That's what they call it.
He looks good. Let's get, first of all, before we progress to the inevitable making fun of Russell Wilson, he looks good. This is a good photo. He's a good-looking man. Like, whenever we try to rank the best-looking quarterbacks in the NFL, he usually cracks the top 10. You see why here. He looks good.
Yo, is he going all the way
in the middle of the field, or play the way
Hold on, but is he now going all the way in the, shall we say, Essence Magazine lane? Like, this feels like a change in PR strategy. Like, but is he? But I guess what I'm saying is this, though. No. I feel like he's been in the lane of like men's magazines and stuff like that. But now, like, I feel like the last couple of interviews I saw with him, he's not using that one voice. He ain't using that one voice that he used to use with the other wife. He's using more the voice that I think he uses with this wife. And like he's brother hit rock bottom, and then all of a sudden he's like, yo, where my people at? And they like, we're right here, dog, waiting on you.
Well, I have to say, I forgot if we talked about this, but the whole thing with Sean Payton, I feel like Russell Wilson really found his team in that fight. Like he had a lot of support there that maybe he had before then. But as far as the voice and whatnot, that's I would say it's been about 6 years. It's Ciara, really. I mean, Ciara made over this man in many ways.
This is the most the most least likely pairing forever for me. The last thing that you were ever going to make me think in 2008 was that Russell Wilson was going to wind up with a woman whose middle name was Princess. You got to remember, I go back with him since he was a freshman in college.
Yeah.
There was no way that if you saw him hanging out at the draft, there's no way that you would think, okay, we're going to sub this one out and we're going to put Ciara back in there. Yeah. And I tell you, they great for you. They so good for each other. Ciara, her friends, girl, you need to quit messing with these thugs. Get you a good man, man. They go to church. They both so happy it's ridiculous. At least Instagram say so.
Was that, well, I mean, look, Ciara doesn't care if it's dead money. That cap hit's still hitting.
Cap is useless.
Right? She doesn't care, $230 million. They don't have to write that off.
She's like, I don't care if I recoup, just as long as I got that advance.
I mean, shoot, he's no longer, getting, well, I mean, he might play, so he probably will play. 2008, was that when she was like at her peak? Like My Goodies.
Yeah, it's around.
The videos.
I feel like that's around. I feel like that's around ride time. Ride
Okay.
is that's the peak of a lot of things, but I think ride the peak.
Good for him. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because I feel like also it can't go any lower for him football wise than what we saw like a couple years ago. So, it would be nice if he was able to like kind of end his career, I think, or as it could winds down on a better note. I'm not a hater. I'm not a spurned ex when it comes to Russell Wilson. I support him.
Not at all. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, you support him. You're like, as long as he's not with you, right? Like that's
exactly.
That's the part. I just feel like the Steelers would have got 2 quarterbacks that I don't think either of them is good. They both seem like they could be, but I don't think either of them are.
They're both like, I guess, flawed in the same way, right? Like Russell Wilson, I think ranked 31st in time to throw last year. Justin Fields ranked 32nd. They're both, I feel like, the kings of the quarterbacks that at home make you go, throw it, damn it, throw the damn ball, like the fans going crazy. He was fine last year. Fields, I think, is more, I would rather, if I was a Steelers fan, I'd rather see Fields just because at least there's some potential upside there, right? And then the athleticism, the dual threat ability. Although Russell was moving a little bit last season. He lost some weight. I think that helped. But it's hard to get excited about.
No, this I guess we're coming up on this draft. You and I were just talking about they seem to be we gonna make JJ McCarthy into leadership He-Man. Like I just feel like everybody's in the business of making the draft the best television show they possibly can. We got a scout that say about JJ McCarthy before he signed, he was telling other Michigan recruits that if they wanted to party and chase girls, go somewhere else. His class is going to be the one that restored Michigan. To have that mentality and then actually go achieve it, he's different. Let me tell you something. You come in that locker room talking about I want guys that don't want to party, you ain't about to have no homies.
I think there was, I don't want to steal this because I think it was a tweet from the national championship when JJ McCarthy was shown meditating at the goalpost before the game and there were like cameras all over him. Somebody wrote he's Russell Wilson coded, and I was like, ooh, that's a, in terms of like the locker room presence, there's a little bit of a comp there. Yeah, right. A college guy who's that's his calling card, I guess. I mean, I think I do think that he's going to get drafted higher than, like, I actually believe a lot of the smoke around how much NFL teams like him. Yeah, and I don't think it's for I know we're joking about the sort of intangible stuff and the, he's just so brilliant between the ears, such a good, good leader and all of that. I actually think the reason why he's going to get drafted higher than anyone expected is his style of play. I just think the same forces that drove up Kirk Cousins' value. I think we actually podcasted right after Kirk Cousins did his deal maybe with Atlanta. And I was saying, I think because there's so many of these Kyle Shanahan coaches around the NFL that actually boosted his value because Kirk Cousins is a quarterback that's a good fit for those offenses. I'm telling you about same thing with JJ. I really think the same thing will happen. There's just those coaches love the idea of taking a quarterback and they can just plug him in and he's going to throw the ball on time. And maybe he's not that creative. Maybe he's not like this unbelievable arm, but he's going to do exactly what they want him to do.
Man, let me tell you something. If you come out and they like, you remind me of Kirk Cousins and that makes them want to take you, there's something wrong with this league, baby. Like, I'm not saying there ain't no place for Kirk Cousins, but that can't be the platonic ideal or nothing that you actually want to do. It's just something that happens and you make the best out of it.
It's something that happens. Like Kirk Cousins is something that happens to you. Here's the thing, though. These coaches, they're so confident in their ability to, like, it's like Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, like just Sean McVay. They're offensive geniuses. So if anything, it's kind of like them saying, all I need is a guy to sit inside this beautiful machine that I built. I'm the genius. I'm the guy. I just need him to operate it. I don't need a guy who's making plays on his own outside of structure, second reaction throws. And when you think about it through that lens, as like through the lens almost of ego, it kind of makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, it does. But like, you absolutely need somebody that can do those things. I thought these would be the lessons that we learned from the greatest quarterback we've ever seen who owns your league right now, right? If you told me he reminds me of Patrick Mahomes, cool, let's do it. If you tell me he reminds me of Josh Allen, hoops, gonna be a bumpy ride, but I guess we gotta try. You tell me he reminds me of Kirk Cousins, I'm like, cool, so who we gonna take in the first round? We don't take those in the first round. If you get one of those and it works, that's fine, but you don't take it in the first round.
Dude, I know, right? Like the lesson of Brock Purdy is that you draft Purdy 2.0 in the first round, right? But that's kind of, I mean, he's different from Purdy. I think he's more athletic. But yeah, it's amongst other things. It is a little bit puzzling, equally puzzling to me, Bo, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Drake May, who is probably the most Josh Allen-ish of the prospects.
Yes.
He appears to be, maybe it's not real, but he seems to have dropped in a lot of people's estimation. And when I read or hear the critiques of him, it's similar to Josh. It's coaches worrying about, or NFL teams worrying about, is he coachable? Is he, some of the decision making isn't there. Yeah, his traits are incredible. He can make every throw. He's 6'4". He's incredible athlete. But like, can he really operate our offense? And I'm actually kind of shocked by it all because like we look at the top of the NFL, you see the Allens, the Herberts, the Mahomes, the Jacksons. I would have thought the league would now be at a place where you need that to dominate, and yet it seems like a lot of coaches don't feel that way.
I mean, I felt like last year, I think Anthony Richardson was the classic example of you want the guy that's got these traits, right? Just the big, strong, athletic guy. He's got all these things that pop off the screen that Justin Herbert had given us an indication that you want that guy. The Herbert-Tua argument was that one, right? Take the big, strong guy over the little bitty guy. Bryce Young, that seemed to be the lesson on that one was, hey, man, he seems to be a very fine young man, right? The little homie be out here doing his best, but it doesn't look like that one's going to work out. It just doesn't. I mean, Mina, he yo high. At least when you got heels on, I seen it.
Has there ever been a brutal evaluation of quarterback play than little homie out here doing his best?
Just say it. He's doing his best. He really is, man. He really is, right? Like, I know he got the dog in him. You can't be that height and make the NFL and not have that dog in you. But when you be out there trying to, try to get a peek.
The dog is Lenny's size. The dog is Lenny's size. You see Lenny.
But like, no, I'm with you. I would think big, strong, like, if you can find big, strong guy that can do incredible things, right? Like, because to me, it's going to get to that at some point in the postseason where your scheme is not going to be enough and you need somebody that can do more than that. One would think that would be what you did. Like Bill Walsh is the godfather of the just run my scheme, but Montana and Young were both guys that could do something outside of that scheme. I don't understand why you would get a guy that can't.
I wonder if people look at like San Francisco trading up for Trey Lance because that was the Super Bowl where they were like, wow, Jimmy Garoppolo can only take us so far. We need the dude. We need the guy who can do the things, the guy with the traits. And they missed horribly, right? And it didn't matter because they drafted so well otherwise. Shanahan's a great coach, whatever. But I do wonder if that's like certain people in that tree. I'm not saying in the NFL because Richardson went 5. Like this is still a thing that people still value traits a lot. And maybe I'll be wrong, by the way. And maybe May will go 2nd overall and this will all be for not. But I do wonder if that coaching tree was like, maybe not. Maybe traits don't matter as much.
Yeah. And that whole 2021 draft, we're just going to have to chalk up as being really weird, right? It's the post-COVID year. It's interesting. One of the lessons I felt like we learned from that was the guys who said, I'm not playing this year turned out to be okay. Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater. I think he was another, like a lot of the opt-out guys turned out to be okay, but all the quarterbacks have disappointed, including the generational prospect that was at the top of the draft. Every single one of them is disappointed.
Yeah. It is a weird year too, because I remember or actually recently that that year was brought up as we look to this class, and it does seem like 4 quarterbacks will probably go in the first round at least. I saw that draft brought up, and the last couple of years, obviously Pickett didn't work out either. This latest season, we have like CJ Stroud's amazing, and we'll see what happens with Richardson Young. But uh 21 and 22 were brought up as like, oh my God, hey man, like some pretty bad quarterback classes, and maybe quarterback development isn't what it was. However, all you got to do is go back to the previous 3 years and you got tons of starters, and like 18,
Right.
obviously 19, 20. So I think you're right. I think it's more of like a one-off kind of thing, and maybe the COVID year affected evaluation to some degree because of that, but it wouldn't scare me from taking quarterback at the top of this draft. Let me put it that way. I think these guys,
Yeah.
the top three, I like them all a lot, to be honest. So there's a lot of talk about like New England trading down. I wouldn't do it. I would take one of the top three.
My thing is, if you can get a quarterback after 15, you should wait till 40. Wait till the second round. Like if nobody, I realized that when Washington took Dwayne Haskins, God rest his soul, but the fact that nobody jumped up to steal him should have been the clearest sign to them that, like, if you can wait to get the quarterback, you probably don't want the quarterback. Like, the thing that gets me about Drake May is, Lamar Jackson is one of the exceptional cases in this one, but if a quarterback is falling in a draft, that is a really, really, really bad sign. Like, not just slipping, but falling. Justin Fields, I think, is another example.
Yeah. I mean, the track record across last 10 years and beyond of quarterbacks taken in the second half of the first round is bad. It's bad. And I think with the cases where it's worked, there's sort of confounding, like there's extra like factors that explain why it happened. Lamar, the NFL, just not understanding how to evaluate him, and I think that's changed a little bit with regards to how the league views quarterback mobility, and also like completely misunderstanding what he did in that offense and his capabilities. And then Jordan Love, that was one where, well, it was a very unique situation in Green Bay. I really think there's a universe in which Jordan Love is drafted by someone else, goes to a team, starts away and stinks. I think he's awesome. But those to me feel like more like aberrations. Like, I think it's far more likely it's like the guys you talked about. Pickett, who was 22, I think. Mac Jones was taken in the second half of the first round. Like, that seems far more likely than the idea that you're going to hit on the next Lamar or Jordan Love.
Yeah. By the way, saw somebody mention in the chat room, and you with your Husky inclinations. What about your man Penix?
I mean, the Asian injury stuff is real.
Yeah, the Carfax are bad. The Carfax are terrible.
We keep like having this conversation. Okay, but if he didn't have the injury history and he wasn't older, then, and it's like, well, but that's not the world we live in. I mean, like, I don't know what to say. Like, I think he's worth taking a flyer on for sure. I wouldn't do it in the first round personally, but like the arm talent is such, and he truly, by the way, seems like a great leader, and he's smart, and I think he's someone where I would love a team like the Raiders, who I've mentioned, who need a guy to come in and compete. I wouldn't take him at 13, but if they could get him later, bring him compete. You need him to compete and start right away, because he's more like a quarterback who's probably at his ceiling than his floor, right? Because of the age and all that. But just the history at that position with injuries in that age, the kind of injuries he's had, it's not good. I mean, I would love for him to prove that all wrong, but I can completely see why teams would be reluctant to draft him in the first round.
See, Drake May, we were talking about that. If you start falling, like, that's, somebody knows something I don't know here, right? Like, look, if somebody goes, it should be a really warning sign. Look, this NFL ain't that much in this world change. If they take Jaden Daniels over Drake May, that is not a good sign for Drake May. He is walking in there with 5 extra credit points on every test. And if somebody goes to that other one, it's not a good sign.
It's weird, because that has been the case for all of NFL history, what you're saying. But I kind of feel like I feel like Jaden Daniels, weirdly, and maybe I'm curious to hear what you think about this, feels like he's really benefiting from Joe Burrow, right? Because all the dings.
I had that thought.
Right, because the dings on Daniels. Okay, he's played a lot of football, right? So it's like, really, like this guy, he had chances early on, it wasn't as good. Yeah, he was good at the end, but took him a while to get there. So maybe he's at a ceiling. He played in an all-star team with LSU. I mean, those receivers, oh boy, like that offensive line. But those were the same questions about Burrow, and I almost feel like because Burrow was so successful in the NFL.
Right.
Daniels is like weirdly benefiting from that. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I don't think that's ever happened.
Does he have that force of personality? Because Joe Burrow is one of the rare people where I'm like, yo, the personality thing, we really got to put this high on the list. He's that dude. And Daniels, I remember I watched him play at Arizona State, and I thought he was a really good college quarterback. I never thought that we would be talking about him as being a top 5 pick. Even in watching him at LSU last year, I didn't think that that's what we were looking at. I don't feel like Brian Kelly has this long track record of producing NFL quarterbacks. And I'm not saying that as a knock on Kelly. I'm just saying I'm surprised, especially somebody of such slender build is as hyped as he has been up until this point. Like the little homie was slender build and the little homie. So that's different. But still, I do think you want somebody a little sturdier, unless he's going to be like Lamar Jackson fast, and he's not that.
And Lamar, too, is a very different style of runner. Like Daniels, he's incredible. I mean, he's so fast, and it dramatically affects the way defenses play them. But he's not like elusive. He is elusive. Let me correct that. But Lamar has this like almost, and I would argue Lamar has many amazing gifts. I would argue his greatest gift is how he never seems to take a hit, man. Like even in the pocket, it's almost like time slows for him. It's very Matrix-like, and you see guys, and nobody ever gets a clean shot at him, and he can do that. There's that famous clip from high school where a guy's trying to hit him at the goal line, and he just stands up, and the guy flies past him, and he does that shit in the NFL, and it doesn't make any sense, and he's got this spidey sense. Daniels doesn't have that. He takes hits, like Wile E. Coyote style hits, and that would concern me for sure. If I like.
There's always a guy every now and then. Robert Griffin was one of those. Colt McCoy was one of those where they take Looney Tunes shots. Right? Where they look like when they get hit, it looks like Rocky. Get knocked out the ring.
The FSU hurdle, dude. I can't get that out of my mind. Jaden was like, yep, here I go. And actually, you mentioned Robert Griffin III, and he kind of reminds me of him, honestly. And by the way, Robert was, offensive rookie of the year, right?
He was great until he wasn't.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, he was great when he was healthy. But I would say actually it's funny because I see people comping Jaden to Lamar a lot, and he reminds me more of Robert than Lamar.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see. That is Mina Kimes. We took a circuitous route back around to the football, but we got here. I appreciate you taking a trip with me. This was a time, and we had you come back on the live mic and not know it. We had a lot going on in the course of this show. I hope the little homie starts. Well, your little homie, not to be confused with the little homie, but I hope your little homie gets some Z's.
I hope I get some Z's. Don't worry about. He's fine. Don't worry about me. That's how you get me talking about Teddy Pendergrass or what.
Yeah, this reminds me of another toxic trait I have. I'll tell you about a toxic take that I have. Me and Mina go start a podcast with all the stuff that we can't say in front of y'all.
Wait. Put this out for your viewers. How much would you guys pay on Patreon for a podcast that's just our super toxic takes?
Yes. How much would you have to pay for you to not snitch because you paid too much to let somebody have it for free? There we go. And by the way, Mina gonna get her one of those. Mina got nominated for one of the, for a couple of them things right there. NFL Live got nominated for one, and I hear they give y'all trophies for those over there. Don't say nothing. I took that bullet for you. But she also got nominated for, I believe it was Best Sportscaster at the Sports Emmys. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Very undeserving, but I very hopeful for NFL Live because I'm very proud of NFL Live. I do think it is deserving our show. And if you guys don't watch it,
terrible. As somebody who's terrible with compliments, come on, man, lean into this. You got this one. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, go ahead, man. Like, you are doing this in a way that people coming from your initial position typically do not do and have earned the respect that people who do not play typically do not receive. And it's okay to lean in on that just a little bit. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on this podcast. I ain't out here doing you no favors. It's Emmy nominees only up in here.
I will say, if I do beat Charles Barkley, I might celebrate a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
See, there we go. There we go. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right, Sean, you got prize picks for the people?
I sure do, Bo. And in honor of the Masters, let's do some golf picks. I got Scotty Scheffler, 4 birdies or better. Let's take more. John Rahm, 3.5 birdies or better. I'll take more. And Brooks Koepka, 3.5 birdies or better. I'll take more there as well.
I was curious how you were going to go over, given that it was golf. But you did it. You did it. You did it in your own way.
There's always a way.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this 3 times a week. Sean, you handles everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Remember, follow The Right Time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. We'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.